We are at the beautiful Virginia Tech campus that is located in the mountains of Blacksburg, Virginia. On April 16th, 2007, a deranged gunman walked through the doors.
It was a regular, normal day of school. Students were settling into class, getting up for the morning. It was a quiet, calm day, a little cold, maybe a little snow on the ground. By the time it was all over, by the time the bullets stopped flying through the air, 32 members of this Virginia Tech community had died, plus the gunman. In this video, we're going to take you around, show you some of their graves. Plus, we're going to tell you about some of the heroes. There were some true heroes on the day of this shooting. Amazing stories. We're going to tell you some of them. We're going to show you the memorial they have set up here on campus for the victims. We hope you'll join us.
We are now at Harper Hall. This is where the gunman was staying the time the shooting occurred. When he was younger, he was actually diagnosed with selective mutism, and he also had depression. However, when he came here, Virginia Tech was not aware of any of that because of the federal privacy law. He actually ended up stalking 2 girls, and he was sent to someone, I'm imagining it's a counselor, who said that he was mentally ill.
He was able to purchase guns after that. That's because he didn't get any jail time. Since he was only sent to counseling and didn't get jail time, he was able to purchase those 2 guns. Now that loophole has since been closed by the state of Virginia. Now on the morning of the shooting, one of his roommates had been out for an all-night study session. He came back in here and saw the shooter sitting there putting on acne cream and getting ready for the day. So we're not sure if the shooter was up all night or if he had just gotten up for the day. We aren't going to refer to the deranged person's name in this video, and will simply refer to him as the shooter or gunman. One of his roommates, Andy Koch, said the shooter got a little drunk at a party once and told him he had an imaginary girlfriend named Jelly. Koch was concerned about how he was acting, so one time Koch checked the shooter's belongings when he was out of the room, but he didn't find anything more than a pocket knife in his stuff.
After the gunman left his dorm room, he came over here to West Ambler, Johnston Hall.
This is where he was able to get in. He was actually able to get in before he should have had access. He had a key card that got him in after 7 or 7:30 in the morning, but he came in before then. So either somebody left him in, a door was left unlocked. No one's ever admitted that though, so we're not sure how he got into this building. This is a dorm room where Emily Hersher lived. She had spent the weekend with her boyfriend, who'd been dropped off here first thing in the morning. Apparently he was after her for some reason. He went into her room, shot her. Then an RA came in to try to help out. He was shot as well. Police shut down portions of West Ambler Johnston Hall, but at first they believed it was a domestic incident, thinking the shooter was probably Emily's boyfriend due to some information from friends who mentioned he did own a gun. They found him and began questioning him. Because of that, classes and activities throughout the rest of campus continued as usual, and others were not warned to be on the lookout.
Mary Donahue lived next to Emily. She originally had her alarm clock set for 6:50 in the morning. However, she did not get up then. She heard a scream. She was still half asleep, then decided to put on her shoes and her pants when she noticed yet another scream.
This is just after 7 o'clock in the morning. So she went down to Emily's room, which was room 4040, to check on what was going on. She saw bloody footprints in the hallway. When she got to the door, she couldn't push the door open because there was a body blocking her from opening the door. She went to go get her RA. Unfortunately, her RA was the one who was dead inside of Emily's room, as he had gone to try to help Emily out in this situation. After that, she went back to her room. She was in total shock, and Mary decided to go meet her boyfriend for breakfast. At breakfast, Mary began to realize what she had seen and eventually heard police wanted to talk to her. After she told them what she saw, the police paid for her to get a hotel room for the night to get away from everything. Her friends waited a full day to finally tell her one of her dear friends, Lauren McCain from Campus Crusade for Christ, was killed in the second shooting later that morning.
Between the 2 shootings, the gunman came here to this post office where he had a video in handwritten letters that he sent to NBC News.
Yeah, they aired some of that stuff on TV. Some of the family members later were kind of upset about that. After leaving here, he headed back to campus. In the package mailed to NBC News was an 1,800-word manifesto filled with hate from the shooter.
After the gunman left the post office, he came here to Norris Hall.
He'd actually been here a couple days earlier on Saturday, apparently. There was someone who saw someone suspicious wearing a hoodie Saturday hanging out somewhere near this door right here. Also, someone noticed that someone had chained one of these doors, put a chain around it, and that was on Saturday also. Now, when the shooting happened on Monday, 3 of the doors were chained. 3 of these entranceway doors had chains on them, including that one that someone had seen someone messing with on Saturday.
One of the chain doors actually had a note on it saying that if you were to open that door, that a bomb would go off. In classroom 204, there was a professor who was a Holocaust survivor. He actually barricaded himself in front of the door to save his students' lives.
His name was Liviu Librescu. He was 76 years old. He had actually also escaped from communist Romania. Now, during the shooting, as soon as he heard the shots, he got in front of the door. He told his students, hey, jump out of the window. So they did, one by one by one. All but one of the students escaped. Meanwhile, Liviu was being shot. He got shot 5 times. The first 4, he continued to hold onto that door, continued to block the shooter. The 5th one did kill him, and the shooter was able to get in. By that time, though, there was only 1 student left in the class, so his heroic actions saved the lives of every other student in his class. To quote John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends.
Another hero from that day is Kevin Granada. He was a professor that had a classroom on the 3rd floor. However, there was no lock on the door to that classroom, so he took them into his office where there was a lock on that door and locked them inside.
There were 20 students in his classroom that day. All of them survived this terrible tragedy. However, the professor himself got with another professor. His name was Wally Grant, and the 2 of them made the decision, instead of locking themselves into the room, they were going to go try to save the people downstairs and stop the shooter. They both were shot. Grant survived and still has bullet fragments in his arm that can't be removed. Dr. Kevin Granada died from a shot to his temple. In 2009, Virginia Tech named a new lab in his memory. It's called the Kevin P. Granada Biomechanics Laboratory.
In room 207, Derek Odell was attending his German class. When the gunman came bursting into the room, he shot the professor and other students.
The gunman went through shooting all these students. He left. He came back a little bit later, but by then, Derek Odell, who had already been shot once on his right side, he was blocking the door, holding it tight as the gunman tried to push his way in, and the gunman was not able to enter that room again. Later, when Odell took off his black fleece jacket, he noticed there were multiple bullet holes in the jacket, meaning he just barely missed being shot multiple times. Odell wasn't sure who had died in his classroom since he was so focused on keeping the gunman out. He went out the next day with his girlfriend to find out who had been killed in that room.
Sadly, Odell suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder for many years. Now, in his 30s, he is a veterinarian.
His story ended up pretty good at the end, but he did say for many years, if he was in a classroom or some kind of setting where he was kind of stuck in a room, he would look around for exits, escape routes. He also would look around and see if he could find weapons, something he could use as a weapon if someone were to come in to that room and try to attack him. He also said for many months after the event took place, he refused to get anywhere near Norris Hall here on campus.
Zach Petkowitz, along with other students from the classroom, used a table to barricade the door.
This was for their science classroom, also on the 2nd floor of this building. He said that he laid down on his side, on his knee, on his arm, pushed as hard as he could against this table as the gunman was trying to come in. The gunman was shooting through the door. Eventually he ran out of bullets, was trying to change magazines, and eventually left. Zach said that when the police arrived 25 minutes later, he was still laying there holding tight onto that table.
Within days after the shooting occurred, the students made a makeshift memorial out of Hokey Stone.
It's the stone that you see on all these buildings that surround the drill field right out here at Virginia Tech. They found it at a construction site here on campus. Actually, the school has a quarry that makes this stuff. Now, when they decided to make a more permanent memorial, they figured, well, I think we should just copy kind of what the students did and use that same stone. They engraved the names of each of the victims into the Hokey Stone here at the permanent memorial on campus.
We are now at the grave of Matthew Joseph LaPorte. He was 20 years old and a sophomore the day of the shooting.
Yeah, he actually put his own life at risk and ended up being killed because he charged after the gunman, tried to knock him over and stop the shooting. Because of his efforts, he was awarded the Airman's Medal. The medal is given to service members who do something heroic usually while putting his or her own life at risk while not in combat.
Wow, that was such a tragic day to remember. It's hard not to get teary-eyed when you think of all the situations that they faced.
It's also amazing to us how many times you see in situations like this where someone steps up, puts their own life on the line to save others, and we thank those people.